So FEMA recently did a test of the emergency broadcast system on October 4th, and people have questions about what it really was. Check it out.
Now, when you say this would have happened, when we first started doing this in the 60s, but they're specifically pointing to the cell phone component now, right?
Absolutely. And there are going to be people who say this new.
And that's new for the viewers. That's new. That's a new component.
That is a new component, but only in the sense of how our psychology responds. And anybody who's in a dating relationship laments the day that Instagram allowed people to sort of propagate themselves as experts in relationship advice, and you've got, I'm not going to pick on Dr. Angela with her fancy doctorate degrees, but the idea that you've got somebody with a doctoral degree who's now competing with a 22-year-old who went on one date in 2022 that didn't go well and is now offering the same caliber and receipt of relationship advice as that expert that you have on the show. That's one of the challenges we run into now with the technology. So the only challenge now with the cell phones is people have a new medium to claim the transferal processes or properties, and that's just not going to impact the idea of the science. Otherwise, Putin would have been doing that instead of putting polonium in the tea, right? This is not something that we can do.
Now, I know that they have an explanation and everything, but really what's wrong with asking questions about something that's going to happen and affect the entire country, right? Now, at this point, being called a conspiracy theorist is no longer considered an insult. Now it's more like just being called like a critical thinker. You know what I mean? They say that the purpose of the October 4th test is to ensure that the systems continue to be effective means of warning the public about emergencies. Unless there's an actual emergency, and then the test would be moved to October 11th. I mean, that's just hilarious, right? Not to mention, kind of suspect if you think about it. No wonder people have been talking about this whole conspiracy theory about the FEMA emergency alert test online. Now, one claim is that the emergency broadcast system test on October 4th would send a signal to test cell phones nationwide in order to activate nanoparticles such as graphene oxide that have been introduced into people's bodies. Now, honestly, I don't even know what to think. I think I saw this in a movie once, though. Did you guys see that one? Then again, emergency alerts can be useful. Just ask the people of Maui when they got the alert before the fire. And that's why some people are advising that, whatever the government says, do exactly the opposite. Others took the October 4th opportunity to test if their microwave oven has a leak. Place your phones in the microwave, don't turn it on, obviously. But if your phones get the signal, then your microwave oven has a leak and is more than likely doing you some harm. Maybe time to buy a better one. Now, honestly, I took my phones and simply just wrapped it in 2 layers of heavy-duty Reynolds wrap aluminum foil, making sure that it was completely sealed. That worked like a charm. So just to be safe, you can always just turn your phone off and wrap it up. Cheap and easy. Now, about that theory about signal activation, the officials say that the October 4th test on the nationwide emergency alert system used the same familiar audio tone that has been in use ever since the 1960s to broadcast warnings across the country. A spokesperson for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is overseeing the test, also said that there are no known adverse health effects from this signal. Now, hold on a second. Did they really just say no known side effects? What aren't they telling us here? I mean, there's a lot of theories out there that have to do with the C-19 vaccine. You know what I'm talking about, guys? And so that's why news went around social media for people to shut off their cell phones on the day of the test, because they believe that it's part of a broader conspiracy to exert control over the population. They talked about activating nanoparticles, including graphene oxide, that have been inserted into billions of human beings around the world through obvious mediums. Now, these are the theories that are floating around. They say that everyone will be affected regardless of status. Experts say that there is no truth to the claim that it would emit a wireless signal that would somehow activate graphene oxide or nanoparticles in the body. We haven't exactly gotten any news of this FEMA alert's effect on people, but disease experts do say that the claims appear to be referring to old myths about the contents of these vaccines. Claims that the vaccines contain like some graphene oxide or other nanoparticles that can interact with wireless communication technology, possibly 5G, that kind of stuff. They claim that the materials, when activated, can allow governments to control and monitor people. But I haven't seen any concrete proof of this personally. But as far as we know, graphene oxide is not an ingredient in the C-19 vaccine. They say that the graphene oxide was used to study vaccine structure only and is not part of the vaccine formulation. But wait a minute, so they confirmed that it was used? The actual nanoparticles in the vaccines, meanwhile, they're saying they're lipids or fats that are generally used as a coating material. They're sometimes described as programmable because they can be modified and adjusted depending upon the need. It does not mean that they can be programmed to interact with wireless networks. All right. Another part experts have a problem with is that the notion that the graphene oxide could be activated in this way is what they call nonsense. They say that you can't just activate graphene oxide. Now, if you look at the Fema test that they've been doing with regularity for years now without any reports of adverse health effects from these system signals, they say that the sole purpose of the test is to ensure that the systems continue to be an effective means of warning the public about emergencies, particularly those on the national level. The two nationwide systems, the Emergency Alert System or EAS and the Wireless Emergency Alerts or the WEA, they are very critical tools that save lives and allow people to protect property when natural disasters, acts of terrorism, or other threats of public safety strike. So yeah, at least you're hearing different sides of this debate, right guys? So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and tap that notification bell if you guys want to stay updated with the latest news and what's happening right here in America, the real truth. And hey, if you guys appreciate the information and what we're doing here on the channel, don't forget to subscribe, show some love by lighting up the like button. I really appreciate that, you guys. But seriously, guys, we got to be careful out there. Things are getting more and more complicated in this digital age. Now, just recently, a lot of Americans were fooled by a deep fake video of Mr. Beast offering 10,000 viewers an iPhone 15 Pro for just $2. Did you guys see this?
Watching this video, you're one of the 10,000 lucky people who'll get an iPhone 15 Pro for just $2. I'm Mr. Beast, and I'm doing the world's largest iPhone 15 giveaway. Click the link below to claim yours now.
Yeah, that AI deepfake ad was able to slip past TikTok's ad moderation technology to end up on the platform. Now, just to let everybody know, Mr. Beast is one of the most popular, if not the most popular YouTube creator, and this is the sort of thing that he normally does on his channel. Gives away all sorts of stuff for free to his viewers. These are really absurd stunt videos where he pretty much gives people free homes and cars with no strings attached, free Lambos and whatnot, so long as they agree to be in his video. Or more recently, Mr. Beast will ask people from every country on Earth to compete for a $250,000 prize in a series of Olympic-like mini-games. So the deepfake ad fooled a lot of people. And as you saw, the AI made Mr. Beast offer 10,000 viewers an iPhone 15 Pro for just $2. Now, in most cases, this would be a clear indication of a scam, but coming from Mr. Beast, it could actually be believable. So if you're not particularly privy to spotting scams and you're scrolling through TikTok late at night when you're not thinking straight, it could be within the realm of possibility that Mr. Beast would buy 10,000 iPhone 15s to give away via a TikTok ad. I definitely wouldn't put it past him. I mean, after all, he literally has given away free iPhones to unsuspecting trick-or-treaters. I mean, Mr. Beast, he's a beast. TikTok uses a mixture of human moderation and, ironically enough, AI-aided technology to review ads before they post. So essentially, TikTok's AI battled against the AI behind this Mr. Beast deepfake and it lost. TikTok said that it removed the ad within a few hours of being posted because it violated TikTok's advertising policies. Now, TikTok doesn't wholly prohibit advertisers from using synthetic or manipulated media, but the platform does require that advertisers very clearly disclose if they're using this type of technology. Same with other platforms. Meta says it relies heavily on automated technology, but similarly to TikTok, it uses human reviewers in order to train its AI and sometimes manually review ads. Deceptive deepfakes aren't new, but the tech becoming easier than ever to access, especially since it's the new trendy thing now among investors and consumers alike. Older generations are getting fooled too. So this week alone, actor Tom Hanks and CBS anchor Gayle King, Oprah Winfrey's good friend, they both warned their viewers that they're being deep-faked into fraudulent ads. So Tom Hanks mentioned a video out there promoting some dental plan with an AI version of him. He's got nothing to do with it. The FTC has been sounding the alarm about deepfake marketing, but trying to control it on a large scale has proven to be quite a challenge. And with global elections on the horizon, the potential fallout from this misleading advertising, it could get even more serious. Artificial technology is becoming alarming, to say the least. In fact, TikTok was mentioned as one of the biggest U.S. security threats by spy chiefs in the annual hearing with the Senate Intelligence Committee. Now, overall, it was TikTok, it was China, and Russia's nukes that were on the top of the list of national security threats facing America. So here's a look at the threats that the lawmakers and top intelligence officials discussed. So first, China wants to challenge the global order at the expense of the U.S. power and influence, as Chinese President Xi Jinping goes on an unprecedented third term, his goal is still crystal clear to the Intelligence Committee to establish China as the preeminent power in East Asia and a major power on the world stage. Now, what's worrying is that the Chinese Communist Party increasingly believes that it can only do so at the expense of the U.S. power and influence. Tensions between the U.S. and China escalated recently when the U.S. claimed to have shot down a Chinese surveillance balloon that had entered American airspace. Now, as a result, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken canceled his planned trip to China. Chinese leaders have also been more aggressive lately in their remarks towards us. President Jinping blamed China's economic challenges on what he calls U.S.-led encirclement and suppression, and the new Chinese foreign minister has warned of an inevitable confrontation and conflict. In short, that sounds like war, guys. So far, though, despite these tough words, Chinese leaders still recognize the importance of preventing tensions from escalating and maintaining stability in their relationship with the United States. At least that's what the U.S. intelligence leaders are telling us. Another offshoot to the China threat, TikTok and national security concerns about it. So TikTok, the Chinese-owned social video app that's super popular among over 100 million Americans, was under a microscope for potential national security issues. FBI Director Christopher Wray, he raised red flags about how the Chinese government could very well use TikTok to control the data of millions of Americans and even sway public opinion if there's ever a showdown involving Taiwan. Senator Marco Rubio, the top Republican on the Senate Intelligence Panel, he didn't hold back either. He basically accused TikTok of trying to collect our data, manipulate the information, poison minds, and feed misinformation to millions of Americans. Meanwhile, the official intelligence report didn't shout out TikTok. The app is definitely getting more attention in Washington. The White House is supporting a bipartisan Senate bill that could grant the Biden administration the authority to ban foreign-based technologies that pose a national threat risk. FBI Director Christopher Wray, he hit the nail on the head by saying that TikTok is basically under Chinese government control, and that's a big national security concern. How many of you guys have TikTok installed on your phones? Then, of course, there's Russia. They say that Russia is unlikely to make major territorial gains in 2023 as the war in Ukraine continues to grind on. But here's the deal, guys. The Unclassified Worldwide Threats reports, it brings up some very interesting points. U.S. intelligence officials think that Moscow isn't exactly itching for a direct military showdown with the U.S. or with NATO, but they still see a pretty significant chance of things getting out of hand. Why? Well, Russia's taken some hits in terms of their conventional military strength, so they've been turning more to their nuclear weapons. The report highlights the possibility that if Russia faces more losses in a conflict, it could hit Putin's popularity back home. And if that happens, Russia might try to regain public support by taking even more escalatory actions. Scary stuff, guys. Make sure you guys tune in again next time for more updates on this and other threats to our national security. You guys be safe out there. Take care of your families. See you later.